Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to another mega motivational word for the day. Today we're going to talk about a moment of clarity. Could define the word clarity to kick it off. Clarity means something that's clear, something that's not muddy. And sometimes, hold on, I don't want to get into the whole thunder of the message. Let's start it off with a couple moment of clarity examples. You could be in a house that's just full of stuff and you're looking for that one item, and then you get a moment of clarity. Oh, my car keys, they're right there. And you got that clear thought. Or you're living your life and you're at a job and you realize it's horrible and you're going nowhere, and you get a moment of clarity. Wait a minute, if I get this degree or take this job offer or do this, there's a better future. You got a moment of clarity that way. Or let's not forget the biggest probably definition in society for a moment of clarity is when someone's abusing drugs, or mainly alcohol. They say they're out there, they've been living it since they're 18, man. And then they wake up in the gutter and they got this tattoo on them and they're finishing their Mad Dog 2020, and they're like, wait a second, I haven't seen my kids in 10 years. I lost my wife, my house. My teeth are rotting out. My liver's failing. I'm living in a gutter on the side of the road. Maybe this Mad Dog 4040 that I've been chugging from high school isn't the answer. Or let's go an even deeper one. In America, we have a heroin epidemic. We have a epidemic of pills where people get on painkillers and then they switch to heroin, and then it makes them feel alleviated from all their problems and worries. But then I know stories of kids who've been found with needles in their arms dead at 17, 18. Their parents are sad and people are in rehab for it. But you got to get that moment of clarity to escape that destiny. Or let's say you're driving and you're lost and you realize, wait a minute, I'm going to run out of gas if I go this way. I missed my turn. I got a clear direction to turn around and go that way. In my truck, I got a compass on it too. If my Xterra, if my GPS is down or my battery's dead, hold on, I got a compass. There's north. All right, I'm going north. I'm heading home. That's clear. I got clear direction, right? So these moments of clarity, do we all get them? We all get them at various times of our life. You might get one in the middle of the day, a clear thought in the middle of all the mud, like you got TV barking stuff at you all day, just going wild. And then all of a sudden you get a moment of clarity. Wait a minute, I don't need to buy the Vac-O-Matic 5000, or I don't need to look like that to feel good. I can feel good just how I am. I don't need to fit that mold to find happiness. You get a moment of clarity, right? Where you get a clear vision about your life. All right, I'm going to read a psalm in the Bible where a guy had a huge moment of spiritual clarity, because there's moments of spiritual clarity too. It's easy in this mosaic of the world to get your spiritual stuff muddy. I believe these messages should do, basically two things. The first thing, maybe I can inspire you to go out and do. Because we're a three-part being, I believe. We have our spirit, we're spiritual. We have our mind, our thoughts, and we have our physical body. You got to take care of your spirit. Keep your spirit healthy and keep your mind healthy. Very, very important to have a healthy mind. And lastly, your body. Eat the right food, exercise, do things like that, right? Have fun, alleviate. Don't be stressed. Don't be wound so tight. But let's look at the spiritual side of things, because in these messages, I've talked about feeding the poor and helping them. You gotta take care of the poor, physical body, and then your psyche. All this is to encourage your mind to think good thoughts. And then spiritually, and what was Christ most attuned with? He fed the 5,000. He fed them that food. He gave it to them. But he told people, don't labor for the food that perishes. You eat a McDonald's hamburger once, or a Burger King hamburger once, or a meal once, and then it perishes and goes through your body. He's like, don't labor so hard for that, but labor for the food that once you eat it, you never perish. They got the saying here that if you give a child a fish, you feed him once. If you give him a fishing pole and teach him to fish, he can live the rest of his life. So sometimes we get things skewed. We just want the instant gratification. And that's really what this message is about. If you go to Psalm 73, now what are Psalms? Psalms are worship. Worshiping God. Because really, all this pragmatic teaching is good and everything. But you need to spend time in a church worshiping God, singing songs to God. Because that's where you enter his presence. If you look at the Old Testament and you see the prophets, sometimes before they would prophesy, they'd say, bring the musicians, let's worship God. And who has all these prophecies in the Old Testament? Most of them, many of them, are from David. As he entered into God's presence, worshiping him, God's Spirit would come on him and he would prophesy. And some of you out there, I'm losing, you're thinking, man, he's getting into weird stuff and prophecy and Spirit of God stuff. Well, like I said, we're a three-part being. We have our physical bodies we need to take care of and learn about that. And we got our mind, and we have spirit. And the people that tune into these videos, or you're not just a mind and a body. You have a spirit. There's more to you. And that's why we have to try to be a complete being. A good physical being, a mental being, and a spiritual being. All right, now, let's get into this word. You ready? A psalm of Asaph. Surely God is good to Israel. This guy, Asaph, was an Israeli, of course. Much of the Old Testament, 99, say 100% of the Old Testament is written by Hebrews, Jews, right? God's people. We're all God's people now through Christ. I think the only, and you can look this up, this is a trivia question, I think the only book written by a Gentile might be Luke. Luke may have been he may have been a Hebrew. I need to look that up. But his name Luke, it sounds, I think we'll have to look that up. Anyways, the scriptures are inspired by God. Let's get into this. Surely God is good to Israel, to those who are pure in heart. But as for me, my feet had almost slipped. I'd nearly lost my foothold. You think of someone almost slipping and tripping, but he's going to go into an analogy here. His spiritual feet almost slipped. How did they almost slip? Because his mental paradigm got all twisted. Let's check it out. But as for me, my feet had almost slipped. I nearly lost my foothold. Why? Verse 3. Because I envied the arrogant when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. They have no struggles. Their bodies are healthy and strong. They're free from common human burdens and worries. They're not plagued by human ills. There's a $1 million book out there called Why Do Good Things Happen to Bad People? Right here, he's looking at that. He's saying, wait a minute, I'm looking at the evil. They got a good car. They got a good house. They're healthy. Their kids are healthy. Everything's going good to them. Why am I wasting my time being pure in heart? Why? They have no struggles. Their bodies are healthy and strong. They're free from common human burdens. They are not plagued by human ills. See, this is where, if you were just to take that verse out of the Bible, you could say, hey man, everything's great with the wicked. That's why we're going to read the whole paragraph. Read into context. Let's get to the end of this. They have no struggles. Their bodies are healthy and strong. They're free from worries. They're not plagued by human ills. Therefore, pride is their necklace. They clothe themselves with violence. And just to give you right now I'm reading from the New Life Application Bible. It's the NIV. It's got good notes. I also have this one, Hebrew Greek Key Study Bible, the Expanded Version Bible. Here's the Bible. It's not a commercial for Bibles, but here's all the different ones that I have. You know, there's a little YouTube news media trick. I don't use it, but it's out there. 99% of, if you watch like Fox News or CNN or anybody, and they cut to a doctor, and I mean doctor, I mean someone who has a doctorate. What do they have behind them? Books, man. To show you, psychologically, you believe they got all this knowledge. So maybe I should put a bookshelf behind me. Just kidding. But anyways, I wanted to show you all those. Just so that if you want to follow along, this is the Bible I have. So they have no struggles. Their pride is their necklace. They clothe themselves with violence. From their careless hearts come iniquity and sin. Their evil imaginations got no limits. They scoff. They speak with malice and arrogance. They threaten oppression. Their mouths lay claim to heaven, and their tongues take possession of the earth. Therefore, their people turn to them and drink up waters in abundance. They say, how would God even know? Does the Most High even know anything? God doesn't know what I'm doing. How many times you've talked to a rich, prosperous person? I spoke to one once. He wasn't super rich, but he's like, why do I need God? Stupid. I'm strong. I'm healthy. I got money. Why do I need God? This is what the wicked are like. They're always carefree. They go on amassing wealth. Surely in vain I've kept my heart pure and washed my hands in innocence. All day long I've been afflicted, and every morning brings new punishments. This guy's struggling in his life. He's not pursuing amassing wealth. And he's like looking at the wicked. We know wealth is okay. Abraham was rich. I think Jacob was rich. Esau was very rich. God blessed his people with prosperity. But something's wrong here. These guys are evil and they're rich. They didn't get rich from following the prosperity gospel. They got rich for being evil. And this guy's frustrated with it. Surely in vain I've kept my heart pure and have washed my hands in innocence. All day long I've been afflicted, and every morning brings new punishments. If I had spoken out like that, if he would have went publicly, which he wrote this publicly, but he's saying, if I'd spoken out like that, I would have betrayed your children. When I tried to understand all this, it troubled me deeply. They write books about this because it's one of them things that just turns people's insides into knots. Once you become a spiritual person, you're trying to do it right, and you look at evil people and they're doing great. You start wondering, what's the sense of doing what I'm doing? Where's God? Where's God in all this? Where? He's saying where? When I tried to understand all this, it troubled me deeply. Here's the moment of clarity in the verse. Boom, here's the light bulb. Until I entered the sanctuary of God, then I understood. What did he understand? Tell you in a minute after this commercial break. Tune in next time. Just kidding. You see that? I hear that every morning on the radio station. Every morning. Hey, I found something that works better than shampoo. I'll tell you when we come back after the break. That's the comedic relief. But this is the cliffhanger. What did he find out? What did he find out that finally caused him to relax about envying the wicked and seeing the wicked prophet? Bam! Here it is. If I was Emerald on a cooking show right now and this is the spiritual meal, this is where I throw in the spice and say, bam! You ready? Here it is. Bam! Then I understood. What did he understand? Tension. What did he understand? What did he understand? Build up the tension. Build it up. Build it up. Bam! Their final destiny. Their final destiny. Psalm 37:38 also talks about it. Let's let that soak in. Their final destiny. He gets in God's presence. He's with God. And when he's in there worshiping, he realizes the final destiny. Final destiny. It's like you're driving that car and you look and there's a cliff ahead of you. And everybody else is they're driving to that cliff. And he turns off. He's safe at home. And he's looking at these people and he's seeing their final destination is off the cliff. And there's no return. Once they drive their car off that cliff, that's it. There's no coming back. And he's getting a moment of spiritual clarity. And if you will, it's happened to some people in this world. God calls it, Jesus said, blessed are your eyes. They see these things. They see them. You see this. You're getting a moment of clarity. He saw their final destiny. He's like, all right, I get it. The wicked got all this wealth now. They have all this power. They have healthy bodies. They have everything. But their final destiny is bad. Real bad. Real bad. He goes on to expound on it. Surely, God, you placed them on slippery ground. You cast them down to ruin. How suddenly they are destroyed. Completely swept away by terrors. They're like a dream when someone awakens. When you arise, O Lord, you'll despise them as fantasies. When my heart was grieved and my spirit embittered. I was senseless and ignorant. I was like a brute beast. He said he had a moment of clarity, but before he had this clarity, he was like a brute beast, like one of the animals, thinking evil's the way to go. It's got to be right. He didn't have his spiritual senses. Everybody talks about evolution. All right, I'll throw out that word. I wouldn't say evolved, but he had a moment of clarity. He had a moment of clarity. I was senseless and ignorant. I was a brute beast before you. Yet I am always with you. You hold my right hand, and afterwards you will take me into glory, and earth has nothing I desire besides you. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. Those who are far from you will perish. You destroy all who are unfaithful to you. Here's the deal. Let's say there's a husband and there's a wife. What's going to happen to the wife when she runs off and cheats with other guys? She's cut off. The unfaithful woman gets cut off. In a court of law, you don't get child support. You don't get alimony if you're convicted of adultery, at least in the good old days when laws were fair. When someone ditches you and they got another man in their life, or an unfaithful husband, when he leaves his wife and kids, he's cut off, man. The state hammers him. This is what it's like. God said, well, my people, when they're unfaithful, they're cut off from me. They don't get it. They don't see it. The backslider thinks that evil's awesome, but really you're cut off from God. You might have this whole life of greatness, but in the end, you have destruction. But as for me, it is good to be near God. I have made the sovereign Lord my refuge. I will tell of all your deeds. All right. We got through this. It's a sobering thought of clarity. So I want you, when you go out of your house today, you're in your car, you're in your vehicle, you're at home, you're watching TV, in your everyday life, here's the practical application to this message. Because what is knowledge? Just reading words on a page? No, the practical application of this is don't get discouraged when people are doing evil and they're prospering. Why? Because we are enlightened. We know biblically that ends in destruction. It ends in ruin. Now, if you don't believe in God, if this isn't your map, and all you got is these 70 or 80 years, then I say it harshly, but I say it with great reserve, then go your way. You know, this saying is rebuked by God in the Bible. Eat, get drunk, party, because tomorrow you die. It's a short-sighted view. We have more than this life. And I'm going to give you the honest truth. According to the Proverbs, if you live righteous, you have a pure heart, your benefits in this life are even better. If you're honest, you pay your bills on time, you don't cheat, you don't lie, you don't steal. You do so many people get discouraged. They're like, man, I'm doing the right thing, but I got to take this person to court because they wronged me. God says, forgive them. But here's the deal. In America, the wheels of justice turn. They turn slowly, but they turn. God's wheels of eternal justice are turning. If you've been doing what's right, awesome. Stay on that path. Stay on it. I plead with you. Read your map. Don't get lost. Have a moment of clarity. Find your way home. If you're doing drugs and alcohol, before you become the bum on the street, have your moment of clarity. And none of this is to condemn you. This is not a holier than thou message. This came to me and it encouraged me because I'm human, man. I look at people prospering doing the wrong thing too, and it messes with your psyche. So we want to think, why do bad things happen to good people? Why was this guy afflicted? You know, it's a struggle to beat down the evil that fights in your flesh to do the wrong thing. The duality of mankind. The duality. So that's the moment of clarity. That's the word for today. I really hope you take this cup of knowledge and you drink it and that it does something good for you. These aren't just words coming out of my mouth. They can impact your life. You know, like I said, I do these messages for my children, for everybody that's out there that hears them. I appreciate you. If it benefits you, if this message benefits you, subscribe. Subscribe to me. If you think it would help someone else who needs a moment of clarity, send it to them. Now, I don't have a suit on. I don't have a gavel. I'm not pounding this down your throat. You're not even in a church being looked at. You can watch this in the privacy of your home, although I do encourage corporate worship. I probably got one analogy about that. I guess I'll give it. When I was young, I took karate, right? When you're 14, man, I was doing good, real good. I was advanced. Me and my other friend were very advanced. We won tournaments. We did great. When you're young, you think, man, I could just leave and start my own dojo. I could do this on my own, man. I'm awesome. But really, someone who leaves and starts their own dojo, are they ever going to excel to a level as good as the ones that stick with the dojo and train and learn? It's the same thing spiritually. Once you get with a good church, stick with it, man. Is everybody there perfect? No, I haven't found the perfect church. There's no such thing because it's imperfect people. But anyways, if you don't make it to church, these videos aren't a total substitute, but it's like something you can ingest in your spirit. All right? So I hope you like this message. Have a moment of clarity. Have a great day. Subscribe, share. Tune in next time. Think about it.